Hello, welcome.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Welcome to another pop-up Q&A session. It's Wednesday, 12:33. We're a bit late today, but what matters is we're here, right? So, yes, thank you for those who are even earlier than us. As usual, this session is a session where you can ask your career questions live. So that's right. We'll be taking any of your career questions wherever you're watching from. You're watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Post your questions there, and we'll be answering as much as we can live within the next 30 minutes, right? So, hi Aija, hi Lily, hi Amna. Aija has asked us, have we had our lunch yet? Have you guys had your lunch yet? I haven't.
Not yet,
Um,
but we are
Not
here
yet.
to entertain you while you're having
For you.
lunch. We will be
Yes.
your
What about
lunch
you, Aija?
entertainment today.
Are you having lunch while you're watching us, or like you're having it later, right? Unfortunately, we can't have lunch when we're doing this. So yes, thank you for asking about us. But I want to ask you guys, can you guys hear us clearly or not? If you can, type hi in the comment section. If you cannot, we're a bit soft, we're a bit loud, something's wrong with the audio video, let us know at any time, right? So while you guys are coming out with questions to ask us, we'll give you some time. I want to ask you all something lah, right? So the poll question of the week is, do you prefer to work in startup or a corporate company? Which one do you prefer? Not one is better than the other, but it's up to your own preference, right? We'll get into our own opinions on this soon, but first I want to feature something first lah, right? Maybe it will help you decide while you're looking at what I'm about to show you. So some of you may know, last week we had a very big event featuring one of the companies that are hiring a lot on WOBB right now. They're hiring for 30 roles in marketing, sales, customer service, finance, IT, writing, operations and admin, engineering and legal. Those are just the fields of the roles that they are hiring. There's I think about 32 positions right now. And the company is Clarivate. So last week we actually featured some of the people from Clarivate to talk about their experience at Clarivate, to help any of our viewers in a live session to understand whether is it the best workplace ever for them. So it was a live Q&A session, something like this, but it was all asking about trying to help them find out whether Clarivate would be the right company for them to join. So you can watch that session, or you can look at the 30 jobs available at the link at wobbjobs.com/Clarivate, right? So that link will be available in the description, or you can just type that in the chat lah. So I just wanted to let you guys know, because there's a lot of job opportunities and I don't want you to miss out on it. So with that being said, right, let's get back to your opinion. Thank you everyone for letting us know that we are you can hear us clearly. So yes, Shashni said startup, definitely. Love to hear your reason why, right? What about you guys? What about Kenny and Eleanor?
I'm the same as Shazni. But my reason would be because I like it to not just stay in one lane. I like to be able to dip my feet in different parts of the company. I like the flexibility of knowledge here, if that is even a thing. You get if you get what I mean. So why I say flexibility of knowledge is because when you dip your feet into different departments, you kind of learn what they are doing, and you become like jack of all trades and maybe master of one.
Yeah.
So instead of master of none, you can be a master of one, but you can still be a jack of all trades, if you get what I mean. Yeah. That's me lah.
Oh, we have a question, Aiman. We'll get to that later, very soon, Aiman. So Aiman has asked us a question. We'll be bringing that up. But before that, let's hear from you, Kenny. What do you personally prefer?
Okay, so my answer is a bit different. I would like both, but at different points of my career. Obviously, I'm still at the very start of my career, and I want to choose a startup because specifically of the flexibility and my ability to pick up the freedom to pick up different skills, and I'm more hands-on. I can learn everything that I need to from scratch. But in terms of my long-term career plan, I would like to work in a corporate because it's sort of like I'm enlarging the scale of the things that I'm doing and really putting it to the test. So I think in a corporate setting, I'll in a sense, typically corporates are bigger, maybe multinational. I may get bigger exposure, and it's sort of like the startup is like my kindergarten where I learn all my necessary basic skills, and a corporate is where I really put them to the test because competition is way stiffer there, and it's a different experience. So both have its pros and cons, and for me, they are beneficial at different points of my career.
Right. So here are some of the some of the thoughts that our audience has shared with us. Aijia says is more passionate to work in a startup company, but she joined a corporate company after graduation. So Muhammad Nizam says, for me, a startup company consists of a lot of jobs for one person, and for corporate will focus you on one task at a time. But the difference between startup or corporate is the experience during working, which I agree wholeheartedly. Personally, I agree, Muhammad Nizam. I've been telling people that, some people say like, oh, I want to work in startup because I will be able to learn more. And they treat corporate companies like they're not going to learn anything. I disagree. It all depends on what environment you want to learn in. So what I mean by that is like a lot of people think, I'll address startup first. A lot of people think startup companies are where you can learn a lot, where you can come up with a lot of ideas, blah, 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 and they'll be taken into consideration and implemented. Yes, that is true if it's a well-structured startup. If it's a startup company that is a mess with very bad leadership and nothing is going to get through and everything is just a pile of, it's a fire. like you're not going to have a good experience there. You're not going to be actually learning anything there if it's like badly managed. Whereas it's the same thing for a corporate company. If the job opportunity doesn't allow you any room for growth to learn, then it's not going to be a good experience for you either. You're doing like minuscule tasks. But a lot of corporate companies, and a lot of people actually learn a lot from corporate companies because that's a proven structure there already. How they operate their business is proven already. It's something that works. So for people who want to learn from like a already proven success formula, right, of how corporate works, they would really appreciate that kind of environment, versus like startup, it's more like discovery lah. Things might work, things might not work. So it all depends on what your preference is lah, I would assume. So yes, Muhammad Nizam, like you've definitely answered the way that I want, but I would still love to hear all of you.
I think Amna has a very unique point of view where he's talking about privileges and benefits that a corporate can offer, which another point is security. Obviously, a corporate is established, you can get more security as compared to a startup who, although has more freedom and flexibility, may not have as much resources and maybe a bit more rocky. That's also another part where a lot of people would consider corporate as well.
Yes. Thank you so much for your input. Amna, Aijia, Muhammad Nizam, and anybody else I missed, right? Really appreciate your input on this. But now let's get back to the meat of this session, right, where we are answering questions live. So just now, Aiman has asked us, why some companies don't tell you if you're not selected? Is a follow-up email a good idea?
I think, okay, so some companies, since we're talking about startup corporate, right? So for example, let's go corporate. HR people from corporate companies would go through hundreds of CVs every day. So it is, I think, not feasible for them to reply each and every person who applied to the job. But following your next question, is follow-up email a good idea? Yes. Whether you're selected or not, yes. Even after the interview, straight away, you want to send a follow-up email, explaining a question that you didn't answer correctly, or you feel like you didn't answer, you have a better answer for it. You can even use that in a follow-up email. And if, let's say, this is not about interview, this is about job application only, yes, follow-up email is also good. If you have access to the company's career email, feel free to send them an email, because chances are not everyone will send a follow-up email. So if you do, you are standing out, from
exactly.
other candidates.
So Aiman, your first part of your question, I agree with what Eleanor just said. But I'll give you like a few possibilities lah. Right, we don't want to make excuse for companies, but sometimes they're really like trying very hard to get back to all the candidates. And what I mean by that is that there's a few things that could be possible. Number one, the HR person might just be lazy and they don't get back to you. Okay, like that's the reality of it lah, right? Number two, it could be they just don't have the time to get back to all the candidates, like what Eleanor said. Okay, number three, it could very much be like they're still in the selection process, so they're having a delicate balance of like, it's kind of like sometimes their selection process might be very long. They have multiple interviews, multiple stages of interviews, multiple candidates they want to interview. So they might be taking it in batches. We don't have a specific answer for you, but to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Sometimes, and most of the time, it's not like they are lazy to get back to you, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they also want to hire people, so they are likely going to screen candidates very often because their need is immediate, right? They want to hire someone soon, but that's the kind of like the problem that a lot of HR people face. And what Eleanor said just now, is it a good idea to follow up? Yes, definitely. Out of like 100 people that apply to the job, not every 100 people will reply. And then you put yourself in a good light to follow up. And it's kind of like, what do you lose if you don't follow up? Honestly, right? You never try, never know. Put yourself out there a little bit, follow up, within a reasonable amount of time after you have applied. Not like you apply today and then follow up tomorrow. Give it a week, even maybe give it a few days. That's my take on it.
I just want to add another thing in that it also depends on which stage of the application process you are at. If typically, if you are at the screening stage, sometimes you might not hear back from the employer, and that's a higher chance. But if you're already gone for an interview, it's less likely that they won't tell you that you were rejected or something like that. So you sort of have to manage your expectations. If you still have not gone to an interview, if let's say they have a lot of applicants, there's a higher chance that they may not get back to you, depending on the company's process. So you got to manage your own expectation. But if you've actually gone to an interview, in that case, you can actually follow up and ask, hi, I'm asking about the results of my interview. Can I get any feedback? Is there any questions that you want to add on or ask me? Yeah. So in that sense, you also have to manage your expectations according to the stage of application that you are at.
Yeah. Just make sure when you send a follow-up email, don't sound too entitled. Don't be like, I've waited 2 weeks already, you still haven't responded to me. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Like what Kenny mentioned just now.
Like a gentle nudge.
Yeah, like a gentle nudge, like more tactful kind of email. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That's our take on it. Aiman, give us a like, or let us know whether you have answered. I'm shilling already. I'm shilling for likes already. Let us know whether we have answered your question properly. But if anybody has like other takes on it, right, we'll definitely love to hear it. Do put your opinion in wherever you're watching as well, right? So let's move on to the next one then. Suren has asked, I worked as an IT engineer for the past 3 years, and I'm doing freelance mortgage consultant. I'm interested in shifting my career to recruitment, also HR. Do you think it is possible? Do you think it is possible, guys?
Yes. Actually, Suren, looking at the experiences that you described, I think you have a very good chance on maybe shifting to recruitment like headhunting first. Because as a headhunter, you would need knowledge about a field. So what I would recommend is maybe you could consider going into IT recruitment. So helping companies look for talent in software development or even just tech careers, because you have knowledge of what skills are needed, as well as because you have done mortgage consulting, you know how it's like to talk to people, how to sell an idea. You have the communication skills, so you have both. It's just a matter of really knowing which things to take from each part of your experience and putting it in your CV and applying to jobs and convincing them that these two skills will make you be a really good recruiter. And then maybe getting some recruiting experience, you slowly shift into HR gradually, even more.
Yeah. My answer to this is also, I mean, yes, like Kenny, but also my question is, it depends on what is your expectation of shifting your career into recruitment and HR. So, what level of recruitment or HR do you plan to shift into? Are you aware that you may need to start from scratch, from bottom up again? Because yes, although you have experience in the tech industry and also speaking to people, but sometimes companies may require you to learn way more than just communicating with people. So you might need to start from scratch. So I guess you would need to manage your expectation as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not realistic if you like apply for a managerial role in HR. Like you still got to it's kind of a restart lah, right, Suren? But the fact that you from an IT engineer, which I assume is not really like a people facing role, like unlike your consultant role, right? I think your mortgage consultant role has some transferable skill where you can like what Kenny said, you can kind of justify is not the right word, but you can bring and highlight that will be relevant to a recruitment role or a human resource role, which will need like talking to people quite often, right? So yes, it is entirely possible. Give it a go, Suren. Plenty of jobs at wobjobs.com. I'm very hard selling today, yeah. But yes,
Yeah.
Suren, let us know whether your answer we have answered your question well, right? And we definitely want you to give it a go and give it a try, right? So Aija has asked us a question next. People tend to say you can learn from scratch when you're in a startup company. Is it true? I think the short answer is yes. Yes, you can learn from scratch. Because everything has to be not everything. A lot of things have been done from scratch. Your I mean the nature of a startup is no matter how well established, how well set up it is, right? There's still a lot of different processes that needs to be built from the ground up. Of course, like taking inspiration from other companies or whatever other people have done works. But ultimately, you still need to modify to what works to your company. So this will require a lot of you dissecting everything from the very beginning and kind of like rebuilding it for the purpose of your own company. Whereas in a I'm not sure what you mean by learn from scratch now that I not in retrospect now. Whereas in a corporate company also you can learn from scratch if you mean by observing the process that has been established. Like I mean I guess your keyword here is learn, right? Learn. One is more hands-on learning, or one is more like you learn from what has been established. But in terms of you building from trial and error, I would say startup would be would side more to that.
Yeah, startup would probably require you to learn on the go a bit more, as compared to corporate maybe. Like for like us, for example, right? All of us here, we started as an intern, and when you're an intern, when we started, weren't really. We were just for context, we are all from the marketing team. And
yeah,
at the
and
time
for
that
more
we-
context, we're not interns anymore, by the way. So you're not like
Yeah.
taking
Oh
career
my
advice
God,
from
please,
people who just started the
please
career.
don't.
That was like many years ago.
Yeah. So many years ago, we were interns, and many years ago, our marketing team weren't really like established yet. There weren't really like processes and everything. And to build marketing to what it is today required us to learn on the go a lot. So learning on the go, how to manage events, how to manage social media, how to create a brand. So a lot of things you need to learn on the go in a startup. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also doesn't mean like you're in a corporate, you're sitting on your hands and you're just maintaining the status quo. I'm sure like there's new tasks, new jobs for you. So learning never stops, right? But definitely you need to get your hands a bit more dirty in a startup.
Yeah, and to echo what Brian and Eleanor said, right, I think the key difference here is that when you say learning, in a startup environment, you're not necessarily learning just from your leaders. You have to expect a lot of self-learning. Everyone in the company is learning at the same time. Whereas in a corporate, you may have a bit more guidance. In a startup, you're expected to really take initiative and put in a bit more to learn. Obviously, you can do it the same way at both startup and corporate, but in a startup, you really need to be prepared to like learn things on your own. You won't always have a guiding hand. But that's the fun of it, right? You get to try and learn through errors.
Yeah, exactly. Very well put. Right, Aija, I hope that answers your question. And are we ready for the next question?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, so let's bring Amna over then. For those who haven't had a job in a long time, what courses do you recommend to brush up and gain new skills to become selectable for a job?
Do you have a specific job in mind?
Yes. Maybe I'll just set the general tone a bit here, right? But yes, the question is, do you have a specific job that you want to join in mind? So let us know in the comments, if there's a specific one. But what courses do you recommend to brush up? Like what Eleanor said, it depends on what type of field you are joining, right? If you're joining marketing, then courses more related to marketing, we will recommend you that, right? But in a general sense, right, there has been a kind of like a trend of, like digital jobs. Digital jobs are kind of like trending right now, and there's a lot of like digital courses available, but which is not wrong. Like it's true. It is true. Like companies are hiring for like, still hiring for digital roles, but they are not only hiring for digital related roles. So I don't want you guys to get caught up in like the fact now that that's the only job that is future proof, or that's the only job right now. Doesn't matter if you don't like the job. If you don't like the job, you can't perform at it. Doesn't matter, right? So, one thing that has been very much essential right now is actually your speaking skills, your talking skills are like soft skill. Has been soft skill will never run out of importance, if you know what I mean. Imagine like you're in a role that needs to be very client facing, or like you need to manage a team. Like if you're able to communicate well, obviously that's good lah, right? That's what most of your role encompasses anyway. But if you're in a role that doesn't really need to communicate with client and client facing, or like you're not managing people, let's say you are, I don't know lah. Let's give a example like software developer lah, right? Like you don't really need to talk to people. You're like maybe a junior developer, right? When you're pitted against two person who are both like software developers, I'm using this as an example because they don't really need to talk to clients lah, right? When you're pitted against these two people, if one has very good, like soft skills in terms of talking, in terms of managing, talking to clients, they don't get nervous, they don't get locked up, they can communicate ideas very well. Versus the other person who isn't like this, right? When people are considering you to be promoted, they will, between these two to be promoted, right? The one who speaks well, who carries ideas better, will be the one promoted, and will most likely be the one to lead the team, and will most likely have an easier time to transition to a more client-facing role if that ever comes into play. Like that's why I say this will not never go out of style. So for any role also good. Yeah. Did she answer already?
Amna just gave us a context.
Yes.
Right. Let's see what's the follow-up. My background is more towards communication research, but the field is very saturated, and like you said, everything is more digitized now. People suggest to do more SEO courses, analytics. Yeah, which is what I just mentioned just now. That's not the only roles that are available now. Like it doesn't matter if you're not interested in it, and if you don't see yourself performing well in it. What do you guys think, Eleanor and Kenny?
I think that was already very well put. Soft skills is important. It doesn't run out of time, I think. But technical skills is still important if you are looking for jobs that require technical skills. You mentioned that I guess you are looking into more digitized kind of role, because you mentioned everything is digitized, and If you're considering to do SEO courses, you want to do digital marketing courses more, or courses that can help you in a more digitized company, you can explore. What? You can explore the courses on, say, YouTube. YouTube has a lot of courses as well. LinkedIn Learning, those kind of platforms, or Skillshare.
Yes,
Learn all these
exactly.
courses and get the certificate, download the certificate, and include it in your job application. Yeah.
I think Kenny mentioned this last time. Like whatever role you're transitioning to, right? You need to answer this lah. What have you done in preparation for that role, right? Don't just go into the company and expect them to train you, and then like you did nothing to prepare yourself for that role. Because in doing so to prepare yourself for that role, right, you're also kind of like getting hands-on experience to test whether this role is what you want to be involved in. I think it's Kenny. Like I paraphrased a lot, but that was the essential of the message.
Yeah, to sort of like summarize, Amna, what we want you to do is first when you say you want to go back to a career, like know what career path you want to choose and why first. And then subsequently look at what the job needs. Because obviously you're going back into the working field, you need to update yourself. So yes, brushing up on your skills will be very, very important because you need to be prepared for the job. So one of the things you can do, if, for example, if you really decided that SEO is what you want to do, not because of that it's a trend, but because it's something you're genuinely interested in, take a look at multiple different job descriptions for the same job, and look at what's the common pattern that appears, and then you will tell you'll be able to tell what are the core skills that people are looking for, and you can prepare and go from there. Take the courses that are being mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. So Aija just said, like, technical skills is important for selected job, but soft skills is essential for every job. She just explained everything I was trying to say in like 2 lines. So maybe I'm the one who needs to work on my soft skills. Right. So thank you so much for that, Aija.
Thank you.
Right. So we have some time to take a few more questions. But let's try to be a bit like quick firing round, right? So let's see. Okay. Sorry?
Aija asked how to leave good impression to interviewer.
We'll get back to you, Aija, since we've already answered one of your questions just now. Let's try to give other people a chance, right? But we'll get back to you very soon. But thank you. I totally missed that. Saeed Dato, hi, is it worth it to try applying for jobs that prefer 1 to 2 years of experience when you have none? It's hard to look for entry-level positions these days. What are your quick firing answers, guys?
Yes.
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 Apply.
It's very quick.
I think the most common mistake that people make, fresh grads especially, is that they only apply to jobs if it's 100% match with their qualifications. You shouldn't, because let me just give you an example of a friend of mine who was a fresh grad, had 0 experience, and he applied to a senior role. Okay, I was a bit, this is extreme now, okay? So he is a fresh grad and applied to a senior role, and he got it because he really impressed the interviewer during the interview. So like Brian mentioned earlier, soft skills, very important, can even land you a job that you may not even qualify, and they are what do you call that, willing to give you some space to sort of make up for what you're lacking technical skills wise, because technical skills can be picked up on the job, like what we mentioned earlier, right? You can learn on the go, but soft skills, not so much. It is something that I guess is within you. How do I put that?
I would say, Sayadatul, it's almost the same advice that we gave Amna. But you can apply to these jobs. Yes, go ahead. Yes, but ask yourself first: are you prepared for this job? Do you have the necessary skills? So you don't have the experience. Do you have the skills? Pair it with your soft skills. If you have these two, obviously there's no other reason why they wouldn't hire you other than experience. And if they think you have the right attitude and the right abilities, they will give you a chance. So before you do that, ask yourself, are you prepared? If you are, then go ahead.
Our quick firing not very quick, and I'm the biggest offender of that. I always say I try to answer as fast as possible, but then I go on like a very long tangent. But yes, my take on this is like I try to answer in 10 seconds. Some of them, they put that because they prefer 1 or 2 years experience. But who knows? You apply, they see your qualifications. If you're good, they may just make an exception for you. If you don't apply, it's always a no. If you apply, it's maybe a yes. Right? So go ahead and apply. See? I'm starting to improve my soft skills.
You did it.
I did it for the first time.
Never try,
right?
never know.
Yes, but be realistic and be prepared. Okay.
Yes.
Don't have false expectations.
For real, we're running out of time already. We started a bit late, so but let's try to get this for real. Quick fire. Okay, I start first. How to leave a good impression to an interviewer? I would say know as find out as much as you can about the company as possible. Okay, not only the company that you're interviewing for, but also the competitors, the market, not only for your own role. Because when you have a huge depth of knowledge, your conversation can go anywhere and you won't find yourself backed up in a corner for an answer that you don't know. So learn about the company on WOBB, learn about the company on LinkedIn as much as possible. Every resources, do deep research. That's it. That's my answer.
Okay, I want to go next.
No, I want to go next.
Okay, go. I don't know.
Okay, this is basically just building up on what Brian said. Going a separate way, which is how to leave a bad impression on interviewer is not knowing anything about the company or even like get mistaken the company for another company. That is a big no-no. So I guess my tip would be stalk the company like how you would stalk a cute guy at a bar. When you yeah. Because what I mean is don't just go to their website and look at their about us and everything. You need to go on their social media. If they're on social media, go on every platform they are on, see what they're up to, what are their latest activities, what are the projects they are working on currently, and stay up to date. That's what you need to do. You need to stay up to date of what they're doing. You know.
So unlike stalking a person, stalking a company doesn't creep them out. So yes.
Okay, thankfully, my advice is still valid. My advice to you is to leave a good impression, is to take every single communication, big or small, seriously. A lot of the times, people would think, I only need to impress the person in the interview. Wrong. Every single thing, from how you craft your CV, how you type a single short summary in your, let's say on a job portal, your short summary. A lot of people really don't take it seriously, but these little things actually leave a lot of impression. How you reply to emails, how you dress, arriving to the interview early. Take every single form of communication very seriously because you're being interviewed from the moment you apply.
Not too early though.
People not too early lah. But people usually see it this way lah. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yes.
So yeah, take what Kenny said into serious consideration, right? Well, unfortunately we ran out of time. But I see your questions, Vincent. I see your questions, Zishan. I see your question, Nizam, and a lot of it. But stay tuned, right? We'll let you know how you can get your questions answered. So unfortunately, we have run out of time. But I want to let those people who didn't join us, at the very second we started, to not miss out on this opportunity also, right? So, oops, that's very weird. So we have Clarivate, who is hiring for 30 plus job openings right now, like you see on the screen. They have all these job openings in various roles. We did a live session with them, and like about 1,000 plus viewers were watching that live session to figure out whether this would be the right place for them to work or not. So we have recorded that session. You can check it out on our Facebook page here, or you can watch it also at wobbjobs.com/Clarivate, right? The link will be in the description, or you can just type this in your browser. That's also the same place where you can look at their 30 plus job openings and apply for it, right? So over to you now, Kenny. For those of the questions that we didn't answer, where can they get it answered?
All right, everyone. Okay, so for those that want their questions answered or have more questions to ask, you can actually head over to wobbjobs.com/offwork, OFFWERK. Offwork is actually a community that we built to actually help answer people's career questions and give career advice, you will not only have us, our team here that's there, you can also get advice and opinions from peers and also mentors from other industries. So you may get more detailed opinions as well. So please do hate that if you have a lot more questions to ask, or if you like this session, you can always come back next Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday from 12:30 to 1, and we are here to give you advice. And as long as you find it useful, we will continue doing it. So please let us know if this really helps you. Like Amna, thank you so much for telling us that you enjoy this. We hope that we helped. So join us next week if you have
if you like this session, as much as Amna does, let us know through I'm not trying to shill for likes, but give us a like. That's how we measure whether this session is still useful or not for you, and we'll keep doing it as long as it is still useful, right? If not, don't like and we'll stop doing it. Not a threat, by the way, just telling you the reality.
And feel free to share it with your friends as well if they have questions as well, so we can help them too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. See you next week. See you asking questions at off work, right? So goodbye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.